Welcome to Community Connections with Children's Services Council. I'm back as
Yay!
one of your hosts, Sean Boyle, and with us always, consistently, or at least all by herself last week is...
Ashley Mock.
You did such a great job hosting.
I did?
I kind of feel like we should switch chairs.
I don't
and you
think
could take
so.
over.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of don't even remember what happened. Like, the whole hour is a blur.
It was an adrenaline blur. That's awesome. Thank you for tuning in and or watching. This is the 1 hour commercial-free radio program, as my mic slowly drops. It's all about connecting the listeners and the viewers to what resources are available to children and families in St. Lucie County. And the reason why we host this show, as opposed to somebody who maybe knows what they're doing or has professional training in it, is simply because at the Children's Services Council, we invest and fund children's programs in St. Lucie County. And you think I would have this down because this is my third speaking engagement today. But we have 5 priorities that we fund. Those priorities are, this microphone, it keeps dropping.
You're all right.
The priorities are, first priority is making sure every baby is a healthy baby. Give you an example. Every newborn, when they return home from the hospital, they are eligible to have a registered nurse come and visit them. Check on the health of the mother, health of the baby. I always say the stress level of the father because I can relate to that. To make sure that that family starts off in a great way and bonds early. That's just one example of the programs that we fund in that category. The other category is stopping child abuse before it happens. We were fortunate enough to sit with one of our program partners, The Castle, today, that provides in-home parenting support to give families and parents the tools that they need to become great parents or become even greater parents and eliminate the stress that often causes child abuse. Third priority is keeping kids off the street. We could talk forever about that one, but we fund after-school programs in the community, including the Boys and Girls Club, the Avenue D Boys and Girls Choir, Frontline for Kids, the YMCA as example. Fourth priority, keeping kids in school. One way you keep kids in school is, one, you make sure they go there. So we work with a truancy prevention program to work with children in elementary through 8th grade to make sure that they're going to school. And if they're not going to school, knock on their door and say, get to school. And we also help families and young children be successful in school, because one way to stay in school is to be successful in school. And our 5th priority is keeping kids off drugs and alcohol. Almost forgot. Keeping kids off drugs and alcohol. One example of the programs that we fund is New Horizons Student Assistance Program that provides a research-based curriculum to every 5th grader about staying off drugs and alcohol. And why do we do it in the 5th grade? Because unfortunately, kids start to experiment in the middle school grades, and then that just carries over oftentimes to high school. So if we can get them before they go to middle school, we got a great chance of keeping them off drugs and alcohol. But those are just a few examples of all the programs that we fund. We currently fund 53 programs, and we fund the major operating budgets of these programs. 53 programs that last year reached over 34,000 children.
And just a couple of notes about the programs that Sean mentioned. One, the New Horizons program, we actually had the pleasure of having Casey Wood, who is one of the case manager supervisors for that program, on the show just a few weeks ago, who was able to talk about kind of some of the things that she's seeing in the schools when she's talking with these 5th graders and middle schoolers about the things that they're facing. And then, too, about the newborn home visitation program that you mentioned. We shared a story last week on our Facebook page about, we got a story from one of our nurses that does the home visits about a visit that she had done recently where mom had been sent home with a prescription for Percocet after her C-section. Didn't necessarily like the way that the drug was making her feel. I know a lot of people have reactions to the Percocet that sometimes are not always great. So instead of taking that to manage her pain, she was taking an over-the-counter about every hour. And what she didn't know... Thinking
that the prescription for the Percocet every hour was what she could use for the over-the-counter pain medicine.
So what she didn't know was that she was essentially overdosing herself because she was trying to manage that pain with medicine that was not intended to be used that way. So because our nurse was able to get out there and educate her on the proper use of her pain management drugs, she really could have saved that mom's life. And luckily the baby was very healthy, so that wasn't an issue on this particular visit. But we've talked before about how these nurse home visits really do save the lives of moms and babies. And, that's just one example of how beneficial these programs are.
I got to give a hats off to Sharon. I was adjusting the microphone, and she adeptly said, "Let's cut away from Sean as he tries to fix the microphone."
What would we do without Sharon?
But how do families and listeners and viewers, how do they learn about these programs?
We've got lots of ways now that we can share that information, and a couple of the best ways are through our family guide. We have a printed directory of each one of those 53 programs that Sean talked about, and it just gives a brief description of what the program does, how you can get in contact with them, and then if it's a location-based program, we list the address as well. So a lot of our after-school sites will have addresses listed. If you're looking for somewhere that's maybe close to home or close to school, you can figure out where all of those are. An even easier way to identify that is through our app. We are really excited about our app. We are watching all the time to see how many new downloads that we have on the app, and we've got close to 200 now out in the community, and I have to say people are actually using it, which is awesome. I can see who's looking at it, what tabs they're looking at, what kind of information they're trying to get off the app, and I know that one of the biggest ones is actually the mapping feature. So you can actually go into the app and identify the locations of all 53 of our programs. So you can see which ones are close to you, which ones are operating in your neighborhood. It's a really cool feature that you can kind of identify what's around. And something that you mentioned this morning at the chamber breakfast is that we track all of the users of these programs, and we have the information that can show that we reached children in every single zip code in St. Lucie County last year. And I think it's important to note that these programs are not just for one neighborhood or one population, but they're really serving all the families of St. Lucie County, and we've got the statistics to back that up. You're having problems over there.
I'm going to battle with this microphone all day because my voice doesn't carry very well, so I have to put the microphone right there, and if I let it go, I have to kind of bend down. But speaking of the chamber, we've had an opportunity to speak a few times with the chamber now, and to your point, when we were speaking, I said, everybody in the room, because I wanted to show the level of reach that our programs have. Mm-hmm. So I said, for example, who in this room, and I'll ask our listeners and viewers to do the same, just raise your hand and we'll pretend like we're watching it. But if you know, in your circle of networking, meaning your family, your immediate family, your friends, your congregation members, your coworkers, if you know somebody who's recently had a baby in St. Lucie County, if you know somebody that has a child in childcare, if you know somebody that, for example, has a middle schooler, or perhaps has a child in after-school programs. If you think about your network, when we did that exercise today in the chamber, I would say 3/4 of the hands went up. That is our reach in the community, because even if you have children or don't have children, it impacts our community. Right. It impacts the health and safety of our community. And you mentioned how we could get the programs. Mm-hmm. Get information on the programs, but we also have a very large presence on Facebook.
We do, actually. I don't know if you looked today, but we're over 6,000 now.
I know, that's exciting.
I know, but we do we share a lot of information on Facebook, not just about these funded programs, but about community events that are coming up, tips for parents, all kinds of information, parenting classes, which we actually have posted as well, that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. But Facebook is a great tool for us, and it's a way that we've really found kind of an easy way for the community to engage with us as well. We get lots of questions on Facebook. We get lots of messages on Facebook if people are looking for a program or something that we might be able to help with. Facebook is a great tool for us, and we're excited that people have found a way to reach out.
See, now when I have
you
to
need
talk,
a shorter chair.
I need to. Yeah, I'm just gonna get on my knees and talk here. And we're on Facebook, social media. So for those of you that are streaming in your office, minimize that screen. Jump on the Facebook, look up Children's Services Council St. Lucie County, like our page. Again, as Ashley said, we post on there all the time. But we're also on Instagram, Twitter,
YouTube.
You have a Twitter page?
Yeah.
Ashley's what is it, Ashley CSC SLC. I have a Twitter page, Sean CSC
You're
SLC.
much better at it than I am.
Yeah, so, after we go do things, we sit in the car and update Twitter in hopes that somebody's watching or reading it. But by all means, there's multiple ways to communicate with us, to give us feedback, but also to get connected and learn about what resources are available. This is going to be problematic for me.
I'm
I can
sorry,
tell.
you're just going to have to hold it.
But, we do this radio program. We do the speaking engagements wherever we can, the
Lots
chamber,
of them
lots
lately.
of them. We've been filming some TV shows. We just also filmed the 10/8 show with the sheriff's office. We do the app. We do the directory. We do it all because we're trying to close this information gap. We've been on a tour of all the schools. That was probably about 2 years ago. 36 of the 40 schools. We do community forums, and what we're finding out consistently is people still don't know what resources are out there. So when a mom or dad are at their wits' end and they need parenting help, we as a community, as neighbors, congregation members, coworkers need to say, oh, look at the Children's Services Council guide. You can call the Castle, or you can call Hibiscus. There's multiple options. Or if a mother's going to have a newborn baby, it should be an automatic. Make sure you get that nurse home visit. Or, hey, I've got kids that are unattended after school. And you were a kid once, right?
Yeah.
Probably closer than I am to being a kid at one point. But kids unattended after school, they're going to find something to do. Sometimes it's not always positive. So maybe someone needs an after-school program. These resources are out there, and they're available to everybody in the community, but it only works if people know about it.
That's right.
Which is why we do this.
And I have to say, we have been doing a lot of speaking engagements recently, and last week I had the opportunity to talk with the Royal Palms of St. Lucie, and I asked them a question at the very beginning of my talk. I said, how many of you are familiar with Children's Services Council? And almost all the hands in the room went up. And I said, okay, how many of you could explain to someone what we do? Nobody could. So I think it's important
Something
that
we've battled because we do so much. It's
it's important. We talk about all of these programs, but we want people to know too that we are a resource. And if you are looking for an after-school program, maybe you've just moved here, maybe your grandkids have just moved here, relocated, and they're looking for a place to go after school, you can always reach out to us via our website. You can call our office. All our contact information is on Facebook, but we can be that connection for you as well. So if there's something that you need and you want it to be close to home, call us and we'll let you know what's close by. You can reach out to us any number of ways, and we'll make sure that we get you connected to the right place.
And just so you know, if you want to get a hold of us, and I watched the show last week because you did such a great job. I was trying to emulate what you do.
Oh no, what I do?
I can't do that. I need both hands. But at the bottom is our website address on the screen. For our listeners, it's www.cscslc.org, or you can call us at our office directly at 772-408-1100. And now is a good time. I'm going to pause for station ID. I'm going to hold the microphone. I'm going to read what I'm supposed to read and hope to get it right. I want to remind everybody you're listening to Community Connections with Children's Services Council on legendary 1400 AM WIRA.
You're just tearing stuff up today.
For our listeners who can't see this, I am knocking things over, holding the microphone. I'm sorry, let me start over again. You're listening to Community Connections with Children's Services Council on legendary 1400 AM WIRA, or you're watching us on WLX, the St. Lucie County Education Channel, Comcast Channel 13 in Fort Pierce, Channel 19 in Port St. Lucie. What? Did I miss it? Hometown Cable Channel 19, ATT Uverse Channel 99, Lightstream Cable at St. James Channel 65. All right, I have to know. I thought I nailed it.
No, you said county, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's just
in fairness, I saw you do it. You didn't knock it out of the ballpark every time.
No,
either.
I didn't.
Did Sharon give you that disapproving look that she just gave me? Yes. Okay, good. Then I don't feel so bad.
No, I do have to say, though, we had a great show last week, and I have to thank Allison and Carmen from the city of Port St. Lucie for being so patient with me, because I threw out a lot of jokes about being by myself last week.
I know, you poked a little fun at me. I heard you say, I hope Sean's not listening.
That's okay. That's all right.
All right, so this morning we were at the Chamber networking breakfast. We filmed a spot on the sheriff show called 10/8. Which I'm sure means something about information. I'm not really sure. I apologize. But you may ask, why were you on the sheriff show? Which is hard to say, sheriff show. But we're on there because think about what we do. We keep our community healthy and safe. And that obviously goes over and is part of the sheriff's mission and responsibility of public safety. Keeping kids off the streets, reducing child abuse, reducing infant mortality, all impacts our community, both either as parents and grandparents, or as business owners, or as just somebody in our community that wants to live in a positive place and a safe place. So it was kind of an exciting opportunity. I'd never done it before.
Yeah, it's cool. They've talked to us in the past about doing it, so I'm glad that you finally got the chance to go on there. I'm sorry that your microphone is falling. I don't know how to fix that.
I'm going to lean over here. It
just looks like you're singing, like you're performing.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to break down a song. And I can't fix it because our guest isn't here yet. And when they cut over the guest, I'm going to unplug the mic and try to fix it.
And I will say, she will be here in a few, but we do have a couple things that we can talk about before she gets here. And I just want to mention, we talked about our website a little bit, but we do have a community calendar on our website as well, where we share information about community events. And there are actually 2 community events that are coming up in the next couple of weekends. We hear all the time when we're out in the community, there's nothing to do here. I don't have enough money to take my kids.
Can you do that voice again?
Yeah. That's how people say it. There's nothing to do here. That's what they sound like.
I know. I liked it. That's why I asked you to do it again.
But we tell them that they're wrong, and there's always free family events that are going on in the community, and there are a couple coming up that are on our community calendar. Next Saturday, September 20th, we will be at the Boys and Girls Club's Day for Kids. It's going to be at Kids Crossing. It's going to be a ton of fun. They've got bounce houses, face painting, food trucks. We'll be there giving away free books to all the kids who attend, and they're expecting a great turnout. So we're really excited about it. Again, all the information is on our community calendar on our website. And then the following Saturday, we are participating in the Indian River Lagoon Science Festival, which we're really excited about. It's a new event that they're doing down at Museum Point Park, right over the bridge, South Bridge. And we will be there with our neighborhood postcard project. So we'll be there encouraging kids to draw pictures about their favorite part of the St. Lucie County environment. We're excited about that. So all the information about both of those events is available on our calendar at cscslc.org.
Or if you download the app,
yes,
it's also available on the app as well.
Correct.
And I always like it when we do this update because it always reminds me of how I got to plan my weekend. I'm like, all right, next 2 Saturdays we're going to be busy. We're going to be, but the neighborhood postcard project, and we talked about it leading up to Sundays in the Park, and I'm sure you talked about it. We have probably 300, 400
easily
postcards. What we do is when we go to events, and we kicked it off at our Sundays in the Park event, and we'll have it at the Lagoon event as well as probably the Boys and Girls Club Kid Crossing event. We have postcards, and they're blank, and they say what I like most about my community is, and there's like a little frame for kids to draw in, and kids. We encourage kids to draw whatever they like best about the community. I've seen some of them. Some of them are, their dog, the beach. Their family, and a couple of really great, like one looks like the Kool-Aid guy. It's great, though, because it gives them an opportunity to express themselves. It gives the parents an opportunity to talk to them about what community means. And then what we do is we collect those, and we've got a lot to send out, and we're going to send them out to random people in the community just as a reminder that there are a lot of great things happening in this community, and to remind them of the impact and the fact that kids are a big part of our community. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And we've got, we were going through some of the pictures the other day, and we're going to share some of those with you all, too, on social media. So make sure that you're following us in those places because we're going to share some of our favorites there. But come out and find us at those community events so that you and your kids can fill out one of the postcards. We're excited about being able to send them out and kind of foster the positive idea that we want people to talk about in the community. We don't always get that from the media and things that get posted.
Hey, we're the media right now.
That's right. Well, that's what I was going to say. We decided a while back that we were going to make our own news, and we were going to share the success stories from our funded programs, and that's what we've been trying to do on our website, on our Facebook page, and our newsletter that gets sent out is a success story at least once a month. So we've got 34,000 stories that we can tell. So we hope that you'll learn about them and share them with people as well.
It's dawned on me because, this is a radio program, clearly, but I keep forgetting that the camera's on. So all the viewers are watching me obsess over this microphone. So I apologize for that. What else can we talk about? Let's talk about, and we're waiting for, our guest we knew was going to be running late. But let's talk about the importance of after-school programs and the fact that, school has started. Mm-hmm. I think they're in their third week. I got 2 high schoolers and a teacher. You think in my household, you think I would have this concretely down, but they're in the full swing of school. And I know, for example, my kids both going to high school, I think school gets out at like 2 p.m.
Yeah.
I mean, and, my wife teaches, she still doesn't get home until 4 or 5. I don't get home till 5, 6, or 7, closer to the 7 lately. But that's time unoccupied. And that's time where, they have an opportunity to perhaps find things to do that maybe us as parents wouldn't approve, or more importantly, instead of getting their homework done, they're watching TV, or they're texting their friends, or they're out running around, hopefully up to good as opposed to no good. But one way to mitigate that, and one way to make sure that our children are in positive environments, getting their homework done, and building positive social networks, is to enroll them in after-school programs. We currently fund 12 after-school programs: Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, East, West, North, South. I think I got all the directions. And everything in between. Over 5,000 kids engaged in after-school programs. And it ranges from, the Boys and Girls Club, where, this is an important note, and I was talking to, I was trying to remember where this morning. It was at the sheriff's show. I think people realize or don't realize that when you enroll in an after-school program, people think, you put your book bag down and you go play basketball and you go play video games, or you do whatever, table tennis. No, every one of our programs, the first thing you have to do is complete your homework. There is no fun and games. There's no networking or socializing until you get that homework done. We have an outcome with all of our programs. 90% of the kids that participate have to maintain or improve their grades. We hold them accountable to that. So the Boys and Girls Club, they're really good about recreation and giving back in the community. They have a lot of teen networks, and I can't think of the something club, the Keystone Club, that gives back to the community, goes and does any type of community involvement, such as I know they worked with the senior groups. They did some beach cleanups and stuff like that. We fund programs like Future Generations that teaches kids musical instruments after they do their homework, and then teaches them musical instruments. Every child learns at least 1 to 2 musical instruments. Frontline for Kids, another after-school program that has a huge basketball and soccer field that they utilize. But again, and they have a music program as well, but it only works till after they get their homework done. But there are 12 after-school programs that we fund, make available in the community. If not for us, would not exist. And again, it's to get kids off the streets, give them positive choices, positive decision-making, and help them set that goal for a positive future.
And I think, too, one of the things that's important to note about homework help is that it's a huge time saver and stress reliever for the family, because once mom and dad do get home from work, or pick that child up from their after school program, they get home and homework's finished already. They can enjoy that time together as a family, having dinner, having conversation about how their day went, and not having to worry about the stress of getting that homework done. There are trained staff at these after school programs that are working with them, that may have an education background or a mentoring background or whatever it is, that are really working with these kids to get all of that stuff out of the way so that the family can enjoy their time together once they all get home.
I can remember, and it happened at every grade level, the stress of homework. And I
remember stories from you about that.
Yeah. Like, how was your night last night? Oh my gosh, let me tell you. But the stress that homework can cause, not only for that student, which is stressful because it hurts, their educational process when they're stressed out about it, but it also causes stress in the family.
Right.
So again, like you said, to be able to pick up your child, not saying that they're not being, the parents shouldn't be engaged in their academics, but the focus can be on what they learned at school as opposed to when is it due, when are we going to have time to get it done, particularly for those kids that not only participate in after school programs, but might be enjoying or participating in athletics. A lot of times those kids don't get home till 8, 9 p.m. it's good to know that homework is done.
That was me in high school. We swam all year long, so it was important that we got our homework done before we went to practice, because by the time we got home from practice, we were tired. That was it. That was the end of our day.
All right, so that's just one of our categories. We may end up filling this whole hour by ourselves, so I'm just going to talk about another category.
We can do that.
We talked about making sure every baby is a healthy baby.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so vitally important to families in our community, particularly new families. And we hear it all the time when we go to events. Hey, it just dawned on me, if she's not going to be here, maybe I could use that mic that works. But for families, new families, when they come into our community, we hear it all the time when we're at events. They'll maybe have moved from Connecticut or New York or somewhere in the Midwest, and they get that nurse home visit, and they're always, like, none of my friends who live in whatever community have this. This is so great. I had no idea this was available in the community. That's just another commitment that this community has to our kids. But every birth in St. Lucie County, or for every St. Lucie parent, doesn't matter which hospital it is, we got all covered.
Even the specialty hospitals.
Even the specialty. A normal birth, they'll spend 48 hours in the hospital. Birth is never at 12 p.m. after an hour's worth of labor. It's always multiple hours of labor, and it's 3 a.m., 5 a.m. But you spend 48 hours, and then you go home with the greatest responsibility you could ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And being a parent, that is being a great responsibility. We send a registered nurse to the home within the first week, and it doesn't matter where you live. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter where you gave birth, as I mentioned before, but it's a voluntary program, so you don't have to do it. But if you want to, and 88% of all births did last year, that nurse will come to your home, and they literally check on the health of the mother, the health of the baby. You gave the story at the top of the hour about how literally probably saved that mother's life. Mm-hmm. Also check on the stress level, but it answers any and all questions that those parents may have. And it's important because usually when you get home, you're a little sleep deprived. Everybody's bombarding you with advice and how you should do it. And, because grandma did it that way when, your mom was a baby,
Yep.
doesn't mean that's what it is today. But it gives you sound medical advice, and it gives them confidence.
Well, and I was going to say, when I had the opportunity last week to speak at the Royal Palms meeting, one of a friend of ours, Dana, was there, and she actually had her newborn with her. He's about 5 weeks old now, but she brought him to the meeting so that she could attend. And I talked to her. I said, "Did you get your visit? How did it go?" And she said, "I actually got 2." And I said, "You did?" And she said, "Yeah, I think they recognized when they came out the first time that I was really overwhelmed." She's a first-time parent. She's a young mom. And she came home and had help for a day or so. But when everybody left and she was there with the baby by herself, I think she got really kind of overwhelmed and needed the confidence. And that was the point that she made to me. She said it was so reassuring that they came out and gave me all the information that they did, but that they checked in with me every day until they came back the next week to make sure that I was okay and that the baby was okay. And until she got to that first doctor's appointment, there's kind of a window there before you get to that first visit with your pediatrician, and she needed somebody to just reassure her and tell her that she was doing everything right and the baby was fine and they were all going to be okay. And that's what she said she was most thankful for, that they were there to kind of provide that support for her before she got into her doctor, to give her that, kind of just bill of confidence that everything was going okay.
And for most families, it is a reassurance of that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
But as you illustrated at the top of the hour, it's also a realistic medical check that has saved both mothers and babies' lives. So it's so important. And we don't just stop there with our services. And I should say, as we're kind of going through all the programs, sort of, again, they're all available to everybody in the community. You can go to our website, cscslc.org, to learn more, or you can simply call our office at 772-408-1100, particularly if we're talking about a program that maybe you hadn't heard about, but somebody that can take advantage of it. Or, as Ashley also said, you can download our app as well, both in the Android and the Apple Marketplace. Just look up Children's Services Council, St. Lucie County. It'll pop right up. So we don't So we got the first week covered. I mean, there's help available for the first week. But then we don't stop there. If families want to, and again, a large majority of families take advantage of this service as well, we have a program called the BRAIN program, or Building Readiness Among Infants Now, that comes out and checks on the developmental stages of your child and educates the parents about what they can do to stimulate brain growth. To know that, even though your child is, 1 month, 3 months, 4 months old, read to your child.
Right.
Sing to your child. Or play music, if you've got a voice like mine. Play music, but stimulate that brain development. And they also talk about things like crib safety. For example, if you've got a crib that's a hand-me-down, because a lot of people do that. This was the bassinet that you were raised in, or slept in, not raised in, but slept in. There's certain slot length that's important because a baby can get their head caught in there and cause injury.
Even we learned a lot when we had the Safe Sleep program on about
ABC.
Yeah, how to put a baby to sleep. And I know, we've had conversations with people who, when they were raising their children, you put a baby in with blankets and toys and crib bumpers and all of that stuff. But now it's nothing. Yeah. Nothing at all.
Alone stands for, or ABC stands for alone on their back in a crib. Is that right?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at you for sure. You look so confident. All right. Well,
I don't know.
We'll get that down better. If somebody in the office is listening, you can feel free to text us or just call in. I do have some text.
Oh, look at you. Famous. But Sean mentioned the BRAIN program, and we have gotten feedback stories. BRAIN actually goes out to, they bring a bag full of goodies that has toys and CDs and all kinds of stuff for the family in it. And they share some additional resources like infant massage, and our music and movement program that Helping People Succeed also does. But there's a lot that's available to moms and dads when they have a new baby. And these are services, as Sean mentioned, that aren't available everywhere. We're really lucky that these agencies have kind of made this really great network that supports a baby, we say, from 0 to 5. So we've got all these services available, and they're only as good as the people who utilize them. So we want everyone to be aware of them. We want new moms, pregnant moms, to know what they can do as soon as the baby comes. And these are there for our residents. So all of these programs are available, again, at no cost to residents of St. Lucie County. It doesn't matter where you've delivered your baby. You're eligible to receive these visits. Are you fixing it or making it worse? But I know we're talking a lot about our programs, but all of this information is available on our website. You can get to it at any time, and there's numbers there to get in touch with the agencies who actually run those programs if you have specific questions about anything.
And and I've told this story before, and I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but my family, when my son was born, who was now 14, 6 foot tall, it's hard to imagine at one point he was a small child, but my son had developmental delays that we caught early because of the BRAIN program, and because of the BRAIN program in connection with the Early Steps program, which is also a program that we fund, was able to get the therapies and the developmental treatment to get him pretty much caught up to speed. He still has some delays, but if not for that program, they would have been more dramatic, particularly as he continued to grow. So I, for one, can speak to the success and the availability of those programs. If it weren't for those programs, when that doctor whispers to you, or not, doesn't whisper, that sounded weird, but when tells you that there's reason to be concerned, that's traumatic for a parent. But knowing that there's help out there through the Children's Services Council definitely helped tremendously.
Well, and I know one of the things that you talk about too is the cost associated typically with those things. If you are told that your child has this diagnosis and they are going to need physical therapy and speech therapy and occupational therapy, those visits alone individually would be $500, $600 a piece. But because of programs like Early Steps and the Infant Resource through Helping People Succeed, we were able to kind of mitigate the costs for families, which makes those services available when otherwise families wouldn't be able to afford them.
And another program when we talk about ensuring that every baby is a healthy baby, and this one kind of crosses over categories, but one that we maybe don't talk about as much is healthy families. Healthy families will stay with a parent from pretty much pregnancy until that child is 5, and they really become an advocate for that child, or for that child and for that parent, to make sure that they're a great parent, to make sure that some of the stresses are alleviated. But we have success stories of a mother who went into Healthy Families program because she was going to be a first-time parent living on her own. She just lost her job, and enrolled in the Healthy Families program. They got her enrolled at Indian River State College. They connected her to the existing resources. They gave her the parenting support. She graduated and is now self-sufficient and working on her own, and she attributes all of it towards the support that was provided through Healthy Families.
And our local Healthy Families program has been recognized by the state and even the National Organization of Healthy Families for the last almost 20 years, I would say. They're ranked number 1, number 2.
Yeah, they're always in the top.
So, we've got a lot to be proud of. Sean mentioned one of the Castle programs at the beginning of the show. Their Safe Families program that actually goes into the home and works with the family and sort of does the same thing, provides like an advocate for that family to ensure that they have all the tools that they need to keep those kids safe and keep that family together. And that the Safe Families program has an unbelievable success rate. They actually follow those families up to a year after their date of service, and 100% of those families have stayed safe, have stayed whole, have stayed out of the Department of Children and Families system. And that is exactly what that program is intended to do. And they have just enormous success.
And and I apologize, I'm still trying to fix the microphone, but I don't know if you mentioned that 100% success rate, but it's not only when they're providing the services.
Right. I did. You just weren't
But it's a
listening
year
to me.
after. All right, I apologize for that. Let me pause real quick for station ID, as we got multiple things going on here. I want to remind everybody you're listening and or watching Community Connections with Children's Services Council of St. Lucie County on legendary 1400 AM WIRA, or you're watching us on WLX St. Lucie Education Channel, Comcast Channel 13 in Fort Pierce, Comcast Channel 19 in Port St. Lucie, Hometown Cable Channel 19, ATTU Verse Channel 99, and Lightstream Cable at St. James Channel 65. Nailed it.
Good job.
I got the head nod approval from Sharon.
And a clap, even.
She's like, it's only taken 3 years, but you finally nailed it. Congratulations.
Don't be mean to Sharon.
All right, so we got about 20 minutes left. We still have potentially guests that will be arriving.
Yeah.
Or not. What else do you want to talk about? So we already covered making sure every baby's a healthy baby. We talked about keeping kids off the streets. We kind of talked about stopping child abuse before it happens. You talked about the Castle programs. There's also programs through Hibiscus, strengthening families in crisis. Again, and we get these questions a lot of times on Facebook and or phone calls
or the website.
Hey, I have 2 children, I can't pay my rent, or I'm living in my car, can you help me? They work with that family, connect them to what resources are out there, and really get them out of that crisis situation and stay with them so that they can stay out of that crisis. Typically, my experience from being a child abuse investigator back in 1991, wow, that was a long time ago. In 1991, obviously domestic violence and alcohol and substance abuse is a large cause of child abuse and neglect. But another driver is poor parenting skills. It was very frequent when I would go out on an abuse case, for example, and I think I want to make the distinction. We are not the Department of Children and Families. A lot of people think we are. We are not. We prevent child abuse. We keep kids off the streets. Department of Children and Families does child abuse investigations. But when I was an investigator, a lot of times what would happen is we'd find abuse cases where a child was perhaps beaten, for example, with an extension cord, and you would talk to the father, and he'd be like, "Well, that's what my father did to me. Why is that not okay?" And you had to explain to them that just because your parent did it doesn't mean that it's okay. Child abuse, particularly when it's lack of parenting skills, is generational, meaning that parents tend to parent the way their parent parented them. how many times could I throw the word parent
a lot
in there?
of parents.
So if we can teach new skills and we can teach them the right way to discipline, the right way to work with their child and be a parent, and we can break that cycle for one parent, we're breaking generational cycles of abuse and neglect. That's how we've been so successful to reduce the incidences of child abuse and neglect in St. Lucie County through programs through the Castle, Hibiscus, Catholic Charities, numerous programs.
You're going to leave some off.
Yeah,
if you
I'm
try
going to leave some. All right, so enough of us talking and holding microphones and adjusting. We're excited. I'm excited.
Well, clearly I am. I threw a yay in there.
Why don't you introduce our guest while I try to fix the mic?
Okay, good luck with that. We're excited to have with us today Shanique Maynard, who is the new Executive Director of the Roundtable of St. Lucie County, who's been great partners of ours for a long time. And Shanique is week 4, 5, maybe?
And counting.
She's making the rounds, but doing a great job. So we're really excited to have her here. So I hope our listeners are familiar with Roundtable. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about how you got here, about how you ended up back in St. Lucie
Down
County.
on US 1, I turned
south. You know the traffic laws I broke trying to get here on time. So how did I get here? So I grew up in St. Lucie County. I grew up in Fort Pierce. Yay, go Fort Pierce. Graduated from Westwood High School and left Westwood, went off to college, went off to law school, and found myself coming back. And sometimes you wonder, how did this happen? But life just sort of.
I know how that goes.
Right. You know how that goes, right? So actually what really happened was I started having children and I realized I needed grandma. And I moved right on back.
Be home.
Exactly. So
I get that.
So but it's very exciting to me. I left D.C., came to Miami in 2007, where I joined the U.S. Attorney's Office as a federal prosucutor. And then I moved up to West Palm, and slowly but surely...
You just inched your way back home.
my way back up to Grandma. And so did that for 7 years. And now I'm here at the Roundtable, and it's very exciting for me because, the Roundtable is an organization of a collaboration of community leaders that works together to set a common agenda for kids in our county. So when I was a prosecutor, I, on behalf of children, did a lot of work advocating kids in abuse situations, kids in domestic violence situations, all sorts of situations. So now I get to advocate for kids on behalf of the Roundtable, and that's really fun for me.
Awesome.
Oh, it's very exciting.
How are you doing over there?
I moved farther away because I'm trying to figure out how this microphone will work. But it's kind of exciting. It just dawned on me. We have 2 born and raised St. Lucie County. 3.
Okay,
we have 3.
You're the outcast.
Yes.
I'm the outcast, but that's great because so often, how many times do you run into somebody? Oh, how did you get here? Oh, I came from New York. Blah blah blah. But you guys came. You guys went, got your degrees, came back, and are giving back to the community. That's pretty exciting. And that's rare.
It is.
It is. I have people who, when I tell them that I was born and raised here, look at me like I'm crazy. Like, are you sure? No, where are you really from? Where were you born? No, I was born here. Went to school here. All of that. But I know there may be some people, and you kind of gave an overview of how the Roundtable works.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys have lots of arms in lots of different places, and I know that some of them are getting very busy right now. So, can you talk about maybe a couple of the things that are happening?
She's like, how much time do we have?
Oh, my goodness.
Because there's so much going on.
Baby. 1 or 2 things that are going on.
So the Roundtable operates through what we call networks, which are subcommittees that work on different issues relating to kids. One of our networks that, CSC is a big supporter of everything we do. One of our networks that everyone knows about is the Academic Success, which does the Kids at Hope initiative. And so Kids at Hope is really busy. School just started. I think we did 18 tunnels of hope.
Oh,
and
awesome.
it was my first time participating in a tunnel of hope. And I have to say, I was like on cloud 9 for the rest of the week. I mean, the kids were so excited to see all those community leaders, community participants welcoming them to school. One person that was there, she was holding a sign called Dream Big. And she said later on, she saw the kid who he was working as a waiter in a restaurant. It was at a high school. And he said, I know you. You were at my school. You had the Dream Big sign.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
awesome.
So a lot
How
of times
cool.
we think that the kids don't, they're so cool, we think that they're not really responsive, but they are taking it all in. So that's academic success. We also have a network called Safe Neighborhoods, where we are working right now to bring an initiative to the county, an anti-gang violence strategy. At the end of September, we will have folks from the National Gang Center who are going to come and train our entire community, everyone who's interested, on the federal model for dealing with violence on the streets. So that's really, really exciting.
And that's very relevant to today. That's exciting that the Roundtable is helping lead that.
Yes. What else do we have? We have a child health and adolescent network, and they are working on a number of initiatives, one of which is called 5210, and hopefully I'll get this right. 5 is 5 fruits and vegetables a day. 2 is
2 hours of TV time.
Or no more than 2 hours.
more than 2 hours.
Right.
Got to get my 2 hours of screen time.
Right. Although I think 2 hours, I think 2 might be exercise. And
you're
2
right.
hours of exercise a day.
No more than 1 hour
One
of TV
is no
time.
more than 1 hour of screen time.
You're
So that
right.
cuts it even down further for the screen time. And then 0 sugary drinks. And that network's really doing a great job. They had a pilot program at Miracle Prayer Temple where I think they had 25 or 30 kids go through like a 12-week program learning all about 5210. And the report that I've gotten is that the adults probably learned more than the kids.
That's good.
Which is
I know
awesome.
Sandy in our office has been really involved and has been really excited about what the kids have said, what the parents have said. So that's awesome.
One of the things they did was show the kids how much sugar is actually in a lot of things that we drink every day. And
Yikes.
apparently one of the adults said that she would drink like 5 Mucho Mango Arizona iced teas a day.
5?
5 a day. And when they showed her how much sugar was in it, she could not believe it. So, so many of our health issues in our community are tied to sugar and things like that. So that program's really awesome. And then that network also has accident prevention and child safety. And they're doing a lot of things with car seat safety, pedestrian safety, drowning incidents. And, I have to say, I sat through one of their meetings and I left like the most freaked out parent ever. I told my son, like, he's 9, I'm like, you're never sitting in the front again until you're 13 years old. So,
Like, son, here's bubble wrap. Let's just wrap you now until
we'll
you
just
turn
wrap
18.
you down, yes. So, but I heard you guys when I was on the way here talking about the mother and infant support, and I have to say I was a beneficiary after I had my 3-year-old. The nurse came to my house, and it was complete. And that was my second child, so I thought I was like an expert, but I was as stressed out, needing so much support, and it was just an awesome visit. She gave me a lot of tools that really helped me. I don't want to say this in front of Sean, but not strangle my infant.
It is. Well, and sometimes
It's a
the
lot.
second one is harder. I have several friends who have recently had their second, and it's hard. It's hard. You get used to the way that you've been able to deal with one, but when there's 2, especially one who's a toddler and running around and wanting a lot of attention,
Exactly.
it's hard when you get that second one in
Yes.
to be able to manage how different it is.
Yes. So I think I've gone through all the networks. We also have an economic sufficiency network that is working on an initiative called Bridges Out of Poverty. And so we have a lot of things going on at the Roundtable, and I'm just trying to get used to everything, get to know everyone.
Soaking it all in.
Yes, soaking it all in.
Poor Shanique. She's been. I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with Shanique, and she's been running around
Everywhere.
I mean, she's like, I'm picturing like the road runner, just zipping all over this community because there's so much going on
Yes.
right now.
Well, we were laughing. I walked down to her office the other day. Her office is actually in our building, and we were kind of laughing like, it's been 4 or so weeks, and we might have seen each other twice.
yeah.
Right, exactly.
Between how much
So-
she's out and how much I'm out, it's just, there's a lot happening in our community, but the things that are happening, the things that you talked about are awesome things, and we should be really proud of what's going on here and what the Roundtable is doing. That's not just serving kids in our community, it's really serving our whole community. These initiatives that you talked about, they might be focused at kids now, but like you said, the parents are absorbing a lot of that information, and hopefully it's trickling to them too, as well as throughout the community. So it's great. The Roundtable is doing a lot of stuff.
Well, that 5210 initiative, which is all about healthy eating and combating childhood obesity, that plays out in adulthood, because if you're obese as a child, that's going to carry on to health complication as you're an adult. I know that they recently did a presentation, and by the way, I fixed the microphone.
Congratulations.
I'm excited. It only took me 3/4 of the show, but I fixed it. They talked about a mother who their child was involved in the 5210, and I think this is appropriate for radio. She took her child to the doctor because his urine was clear.
Oh.
And urine is supposed, if you drink enough water, it is supposed to be clear. But because that was so new and not normal, she thought something was wrong, and actually that's very healthy.
Wow.
Right. Which is the importance of education, education and empowering parents. I mean, I really believe that, almost all parents want to do what's best for their kids, but if you don't have the knowledge and you don't have programs and initiatives that teach it to you, you can't. So that just demonstrates the importance of knowledge, just like me knowing that a 9-year-old's not supposed to go in the front seat. So.
Regardless of how much he tries to bribe you.
You got it. So.
Mom, I'm a big kid now.
Exactly. Nope, you're not big enough. Yeah. So.
Let's talk about, we've got a few minutes left, and I want to make sure, because it's coming up on September 30th, this information session for leaders in the community, or for people that work with families and children and all that, but also for the community at large. Can you maybe just briefly talk about when that is and who should attend?
Yes. So this initiative came out of Restoring the Village, and we are calling it the Restoring the Village Youth Initiative. And essentially, it's going to be a program focused at gang-involved youth, or youth or their family members, or kids who are at most primary risk of joining gangs or being involved in street violence. On September 30th, which is a Tuesday, we're going to have a training for community leaders from 8:30 to 4:30. It's going to be at the Public Safety Complex in Fort Pierce. And if you want more information on that, you can contact the Roundtable. And in the evening, we're going to have a community information session where the experts from the Gang Center are going to come, and it's going to be like our town hall forums that we've had in the past. We want everyone in the community to come, hear about the youth initiative that's getting started, and find out how they can be involved. So that's going to be at Lincoln Park Academy from 6:30 to 8:30.
That's exciting. And you said contact the Roundtable if they're interested. What's the best way to get a hold of you? And I was thinking, I normally have
871-5880.
Thank you.
Wow,
That's awesome, because I'm so new. I do not even know my phone number.
All right, say it one more time.
It's 871-5880. And typically Kim will answer the phone, and Kim is a wealth of information.
Yes.
But that is the number to get in touch with Roundtable.
So we want the community to come out September 30th at 6:30 to 8:30 p.m.
Yes.
Because it's important as these experts come in and they talk about what we can do as a community. Everybody has a role in it.
Yes.
And everybody needs to be involved, even if your children are growing up, but you live in a neighborhood maybe where it's happening, or if you're a service provider, but everybody has a role. It's not going to just be solved by one entity or one organization. Everybody plays a part. So we encourage everybody to come out there on September 30th. If you're a leader and you want to sit in through the whole day, 8:30 to 4:30 at the Public Safety Complex, Indian River State College Public Safety Complex.
Yes.
But at the very least, come to the evening at Lincoln Park Academy, 6:30 to 8:30. It's called Restoring the Village Youth Initiative.
Yes.
So it involves everybody, and we want everybody there. And to register or to call or find out more information, call 871-5880. Yes, I'm looking off your piece of paper.
Well, you wrote it on yours.
Yeah, but your handwriting's neater.
That's true.
So, all right. So, what else is going on? What else can we talk about in these last couple minutes? You've already covered. The Roundtable does so much. They work with galvanizing the community and the service providers and the leaders to tackle health issues, to tackle youth and safe neighborhood issues, economic issues, academic issues. You're really kind of the hub of what's going on as far as positively impacting children and families.
Yes, and I just want to say we could not do the work that we do without the assistance of Children's Services Council. I mean, you all have supported the Roundtable since its inception, and we are just so grateful. And almost every program that we have is sponsored and funded by CSC. So we want to thank you for your support, your continued support.
Thank you, and thank you for coming by. I know you had a busy schedule, and for our listeners, we were kind of joking, because Ashley and I were talking and talking, and I was adjusting the microphone. But we knew Shanique is so busy, and she's involved in so many things, and she really has hit the ground running, if not sprinting. We knew that she was going to. Her time was very limited, and we're grateful that you spent time with us.
In fairness, I only asked her yesterday, so so she made some large accommodations to get here.
Well, it is my pleasure, and I only wish I could have gotten here earlier, but I did have to stop at the red light. So.
Well, we're here every Tuesday, so there's going to be more opportunities to come by.
Okay. And I think that it'll be important once we get through this September 30th event for you to come back and give us updates on how that's going, so that the community is aware. I know there's been so many forums and outlets where we've been where people are asking for something. They want something to happen, something that they can do, something that they can get behind. And I hope that there's a great turnout for this event, because I think that this is the thing. This is what's going to bring all of us together to address this problem, because like you said, it's not something that one program or one agency or even the roundtable could do alone. It's going to take all of us. And I hope that there's a really, really great support from the community for it.
And we only have a couple of minutes left, but I feel the need to bring this up. You mentioned it. There are a lot of good things happening in this community. There are a lot of great kids doing fantastic things in this community. Let those voices be louder than what the negative and the troubled kids and the kids that need more help. Don't forget that those are a handful compared to the thousands and thousands of kids that are doing great things in our community, and we need to celebrate those. It's easy to dwell on the negative. Yes. We all do that, but there are a lot of positive things that are happening. So celebrate the kids that are doing good as much as focusing on the kids that are maybe not doing so good, but we're all working on it. All right, we have come to the end of the show. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, just that there are some events that are coming up. I would encourage everybody to check out the community calendar. I'm going to make sure that we get this on there as well. But there are the next couple Saturdays, there's lots of stuff to do. So, I don't want to hear anybody complaining that there's nothing to do here.
Yeah, you'll have to do that voice again.
I can't do it right now.
Voice. Download our app, go to our website, get connected. This only works if you're engaged as well, connecting people to what resources are available and things to do in the community. We want to thank you for tuning in, for being patient with us as we adjusted microphones and talked more than probably what you wanted us to. We want to thank Shanique for coming on. We know she's very busy. Thank you, Sharon, for we're learning that she's from St. Lucie County. Didn't know that before. And to be here to acknowledge that I got the call letters right. I appreciate that. It's a weekly radio show, so we'll be back next Tuesday. Remember, it's our children, our community, our future. We're in this together. We'll see you next week.